backstage, the seats are going to start to go in a circle. Is that the name of it? Yeah, fair. That's what it is. Ismail. Who else is from Long Island? Yeah, better off. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay. I was about to say the same thing. You're better off. Okay, it's funny. So, let's begin again. Page 128 in our prayer book in the Siddur. And remember, if you have a prayer book, if your version of the prayer book has two different page numbers, you're following the page number in blue brackets. And we continue on the top of page 128. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Let's try that again. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim sheverachim gam yachad. So before we continue, I'm going to invite you to turn to someone you do not know, if that's the preference, and introduce yourself and share Shabbat Shalom. You can cross an aisle, you can turn in front of you, you can even move if you'd like, but try and meet one person and share your name. Lovely. So, I also want to just acknowledge, yes, we changed the chairs. Some of you have noticed, and some of you have made a comment, and some of you online might even notice a little bit of a different setup. We're going to just try things a little bit differently to create a little bit more community, try and have it be a little less formal and rows the way everybody else is, and to try and hear each other's voices and even see each other. But there are still plenty of places for those of us that need to hide. We have lots of corners still for you if that's what you need. But we're going to do this for a little while, for another couple of weeks. And so don't be so surprised if you come back and see it might be just a little bit different. Let's bring some light into our lives. 120, page 120. Rachel's going to come forward and help us light these Shabbat lights. Wonderful. Once you get both. Beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. We'll ask you to rise as you are able. 123. Let's continue with our Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים קיוונו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat l'chaim. You may be seated. 138 and 139. Now, the other obvious part of what's happening for us here is Cantor Avery is not here this evening. So first, my apologies. And second, you have to sing and pray strongly. It doesn't have to be on key, because I'm going to be missing it right there with you. But let's make sure that we all get to join together. Page 138, 139. Lecha Dodi is a prayer from folks who escaped the Inquisition. They made it to the land of Israel. They landed in Tzfat. They created a new vision for the Jewish people, one filled with the esoteric and the mystical. And so these Kabbalists wanted to welcome the Sabbath bride into their midst. We're going to continue with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one. We face the open doors in the back of our sanctuary and welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. Shamo v'zachor אפיך רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה והוא יחמוד עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת התנעני מאפקומי לבשים בנתי תפארתיכמי על יד בן ישי בית הלכתי קורבה אל נפשי כעלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה אוי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה. May be seated. 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Oni Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Oni Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Let's turn forward again. 146. We ask you to rise as you are able. Baruchu et Adonai Hamivorach Baruch Adonai Hamivorach Hamivorach Leolam Va'ed Hamivorach Hamivorach Leolam Va'ed. You can hold your place there. If you want, you can turn to the back of the Siddur, page 677. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. And we will know that you are one. 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Let's be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol vavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu advarim haele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Let's turn to 157. At the bottom of the page, and we can take our turns. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Again, we turn the page 161. We start with the English, we move to the Hebrew on 160, and then we go back again. Understanding among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us, peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomrenu lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. We move into the Tefillah 164. We stand together as we are able. Adonai, Yalla lai 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 sifatai tiftach, Yalla lai 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 ufi yagi tehilatecha, Yalla lai 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 Adonai, Yalla lai 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 sifatai tiftach, Yalla lai 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 ufi yagi tehilatecha, Yalla lai lai yalla Adonai, Yalla lai 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 sifatai tiftach, Yalla lai 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 ufi yagi tehilatecha, Yalla lai lai yalla Adonai, Yalla lai 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 sifatai tiftach, Yalla lai 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 ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח מוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated. Let's read together again on 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Prayer for peace, much needed peace, 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. take some time for our personal prayers and reflections and meditations. If you'd like to find a reading in the Siddur to reflect upon and pray with, you can look at 179 through 181. Choose any reading you like. We'll come together again shortly on 180 at the bottom. Let's take a few moments of silent, sort of silent prayer. Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la oh say shalom bimroma oh yaseh shalom aleinu Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la, ya la la ya la la la, ya la la ya la la ya la la. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la la. 371 in the middle of the page. Our prayer for healing, our prayer for wholeness. If some of us picked up one of those handouts, if you looked in the middle, you'll see all of the names that are shared with our community. For all of these folks who have asked for our prayers, we keep them in our hearts, and if you'd like to share the name of someone who's in the midst of a struggle, hardship, and illness, you'd like to share their name out loud, let's do so. You can fill up this tent. in the middle of the page. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheverach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. My hands are killing me. Blah. That's what I'm starting with this week. Blah. That's kind of like where I've been this entire week, with reporters and congregants and police and the Justice Department. What a fall, just in general. We had, I thought, for me at least, I don't know about you, but for me, a really lovely, meaningful Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. We had a beautiful launch with families for our Sukkot celebration. This new sukkah of ours, only the second year, it was wonderful. Simchat Torah was fantastic. I went away on vacation. Yeah. And then it just felt like the ground just left my feet in so many ways. All of these wonderful things, we started to kind of spin out of control with the anti-Semitism and the Islamophobia and anti-Israel and anti-Zionist statements, and so many of us just kind of feel depleted from it all, just kind of feeling so empty, and that's kind of natural. You know, it's taking a lot out of us in so many ways because we struggle with different kinds of feelings. We have compassion for two peoples, and we don't understand why other people don't feel that way. We are concerned about maybe our friends or family who might be in Israel. People who are connected to this synagogue have their families in Israel, and every Israeli knows somebody that was taken or hurt or wounded or murdered. So what do we do with all of this that we're carrying, and how it kind of empties us all out? Whenever we aren't helping congregants maneuver through the normal oys and joys of life, we're talking with others in and out of our congregation, helping them to navigate this landscape. And then we get to last weekend, where I wrote a great sermon for Saturday morning. Too soon? You can handle it, right? It was actually pretty good. But even more than that, this disruption, this feeling of vulnerability, And I know there's a lot of people that know kind of what's going on, and some of our folks were really kind of concerned and hurt and wounded from it, and others made sure that they picked up a bagel on their way out, right? They didn't want the locks to go bad, God forbid. These congregants of mine, God bless them. You know, it was more than just us. There were hundreds of congregations, 400 congregations that had to maneuver through this assault on our comfort and feelings of safety. This was an effort to stoke fear, even though nobody was physically hurt. But there's a lot of emotions that are tied in this. And there were some folks the next day who were asking me, are you sure you want to open us up, for Sunday school? And I was like, yeah, we got to do this. And the room was full. Not everybody could make it. Some weren't ready yet. They'll say, we'll see you in January. But I wasn't ready quite yet. And others were like, this is what we need to do. And there were still others like, I don't really want to be here, but I have to. And so they came anyway. And everybody's got to find their right way in, and right way to deal with all of this. And all of my friends were these rabbis, because, that's who our friends are. All around the country are all going through the same thing. My friends in Florida, I don't know what they're still doing there, but my friends in Florida, my friends in Massachusetts, my friends in Washington, D.C., all of these people are going through the same things and asking the same kinds of questions on how do we take care of our community and what do we tell our children, and it's so frustrating, diverting precious energy and resources and stoking fear in so many congregants. And I want to say to you that I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry that you have to carry this, whatever this is. And it shouldn't be the cost of being Jewish. It shouldn't be like this is just what we need to expect. It shouldn't have to be that way. It made some of us feel less certain and comfortable, even more worried, and I feel like many are experiencing a moral injury from witnessing people's behaviors and the threats and the hurts that are going on, the demonization, the dehumanization of our people and of other peoples. It creates wounds that I think leave a mark on the body. So how do we handle that? How do we handle moral injury, something that was reserved for people that were actually serving in the military? Now they come back and it's kind of spread for a lot of folks. A lot of us are kind of feeling this disorientation, even physical symptoms of illness and mental health challenge because of how we witness people behaving so poorly. I don't think we can justify in any way the hate or bias that we see. We can't. So how do we handle it? What am I supposed to say to my congregants? How is it that we're supposed to move forward? I want to say a couple of things about that. I don't think we can just bounce back. But I do believe, friends, with all of my broken hearts, that we can bounce forward. That's what I think. So I want to tell you something read two quotes. One is from a fellow named Parker Palmer. Parker Palmer is pretty brilliant. A spiritual activist is how I would describe him. He's a leader in a group called the Center for Courage and Renewal. And he wrote a book called Deepening the American Dream, Reflections on the Inner Life and Spirit of Democracy. And this is what he says. And it's pretty heavy. There are at least two ways to picture a broken heart. The conventional image, of course, is that of a broken heart broken by unbearable tension into 1,000 shards. Every day, untold number of people try to pick up the pieces, some of them taking grim satisfaction in the way the heart's explosion has injured their enemies. Here, the broken heart is an unresolved wound that we too often inflict on others. That's one kind of broken heart, one that leads to how we might kind of stick it to somebody else. But there's another way to think of that. He says, another way to visualize what a broken heart might mean, imagine that small, clenched fist of a heart broken open into the largeness of life, into greater capacity to hold one's own and the world's pain and joy. Broken open hearts are in short supply these days. Instead, we shut our hearts down. So at first he sees people and their broken hearts as an opportunity to hold on to anger and spite and try and inflict it onto somebody else, hoping that the shards of a broken heart can actually cause a wound to somebody else. But then once the heart is broken open, he says, we can have a greater capacity to hold one's own and the world's pain and joy. I'm so moved by that. The rabbis from yesteryear share something similar. There's a Hasidic teacher, Mendel of Kotsk. He's from the 19th century, a Hasidic rabbi. And he said, the student asked the V'yahavta, right? V'yahavta, that one. V'yahavta reads, I command you to place the words upon your heart. Asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al is on. Al livavecha. Why does the Torah to place the words on your heart? Why doesn't it tell to place these holy words within your heart? And so the rabbi answers, it's because as we are, our hearts are closed, and we cannot place holy words inside them. So we place them on top of our hearts. And there they stay until one day our hearts break and the words fall in. So the first thing I think of is, I wonder what the surgeon at the Mayo Clinic did. That's my first thought. Once I got past all of that, how can this, just making sure you're still listening, how can we take this and bring it to our current state of affairs? How do we take a broken open heart into some of the traumatic things that we're hearing about and seeing about, even perhaps taking on ourselves? I want to share one other thing, something I just read this morning. It was from the editor-in-chief of The Forward. Now, The Forward was an old Yiddish newspaper that now is an online kind of Jewish online paper. And in her conversation with a friend of hers, is a rabbi that many in the Reform movement know very well in Jerusalem. His name is Levi Wyman Kelman, and he's an American Jewish rabbi activist. He makes Aliyah in the 70s, and for decades he led this place in Jerusalem called the Congregation Kol Neshama, where I spent every Shabbos going to when I was living in Israel. It was an incredible, I don't know what it was, nourishment for me. And he's also, by the way, has always been a leader in a group called Rabbis for Human Rights. So you kind of have a sense of where his orientation is. And in his conversation with the editor-in-chief of The Forward, Judy Rudorin, he shares, I'm ashamed at how my heart has shrunk. This broke my heart open again. I'm ashamed of how my heart has shrunk. I think on October 8th, all of our hearts were broken, and since then, everyone is just trying to cope with so much, and we're limited human beings, which is understandable to me. He says, the suffering in Gaza is real, and I definitely don't wish anyone in Gaza harm, but I don't feel I have the emotional capacity to contain all of this. This is the ultimate Hamas victory. They made me a worse person. They made me a less compassionate person. And I'm so angry about that. That resonates for me. It resonates for some of us. But as my heart continues to break open every time we hear about an Israeli hostage who dies in captivity, or the traumas wrought on the hostages who were released that we are now learning more and more details about for those that are listening, what is it that I'm letting in? I will let my compassion for them. I will let in my compassion for them, my need to speak out for them, how I'm now compelled to have one of their names on my wrist and help others see them as human beings. I'm also going to let in that there are innocents, especially children who are always innocent, in Gaza, who are dying from a war, even if Hamas started it as I see it. And my broken heart is helping me to cultivate empathy and responsibility for others who are hurt. And yes, I need to do that even when I feel that we in the Jewish community are too often unseen and attacked right now. But having empathy for others doesn't mean that we don't take care of ourselves or our community. If anything, it helps me to speak up with greater clarity. I know that there are broken hearts here, not just because of the situation, but just because of life. And I will share what strength I have with you, because that's what we do. And where we need to share our strength together with Rabbi Levi Wyman-Kelman and others in Israel. And I want to know that I want them to know in Israel that we are walking on Sundays not just for solidarity, but so that they know they're not forgotten. I want them to know that we're still showing up in Jewish spaces even after events of this past weekend. I want them to know that we're traveling to Israel, some of us, in solidarity and bringing hope more than anything. And we're going to take care of each other when we feel weak and defeated. And you should know we're starting a support group here in the congregation right after the new year for those that need some care and fellowship, to sit and talk with others who get it, because it's hard to be Jewish in America today. And the last thing I want to say is, I actually don't think that Rabbi Levi Wyman-Kelman's heart actually got smaller. I think it got bigger. He might feel it contracting. But I know that's not true. I think he and others, including some here, just are feeling paralyzed. So our work of sacred accompanying needs to kick in. And really open our hearts for him and for others who are feeling wounded. That's empathy, not pity, and not some kind of taking on somebody else's stuff. Being present, I think, is the most sacred thing that we can do. And we'll stand to protect our family and friends in Israel and around the world. But I do hope that our broken, open hearts can help us to be our most authentic, our most honest selves, that we can then walk with real deep strength and love and integrity. With all of that, let's turn to Aleinu, 586, at the bottom of the page. 586 at the very bottom paragraph. We ask you to rise as you are able. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kokoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש Baruch Hu, we turn the page. Shehu notesh shamayim veyoser haaretz, umoshav yekarom hashamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo, begovhei meromim. Hu Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu efes ulato, kakatu betorato, v'yadata yom v'hashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, v'alaretz mitachat ein od, v'nemar v'yadonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. May be seated. Zichronam levracha. May their memories be for a blessing. If you are observing a yahrzeit, the yahrzeit is an anniversary of one's death, or if you are in a period of mourning, we invite you, if you choose, to rise for a moment, share the name of the one whom you are remembering, and then we'll continue with additional names from our community. Everybody shared. Then we also remember in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days, Doris Reiner, the mother of Susan Silverman, Walter Flaherty, the grandfather of Emily Lanigan, Marjorie Klugman, the great-aunt of Hannah McGinty, Joanne Eaton, a longtime congregant here, the mother of Elise Jackson, Jack Landau, the father of Ellie Bluestein, and as we just learned and saw messages that went out in the last hours, Barry Levin, the brother of Ron Levin, Cesar Espona II, the father of Luz Espona, Stephen Johnson, the husband of Catherine Johnson. Those yahrzeits we recall for this week that's passed: Alan Alkin, Ormer Berner, Paul Bodner, Regina Friedman, Leonard Goldstein, Caden Holmes, Richard Kozin, Simon Kushlev, Paul Latora, Travis Milstein, Karen Mitchell, Mildred North, Reuben Panner, Gordon Platt, Irene Satin, Joseph Schwartz, Edward Sears, Jane Shapiro, Ashley Siegel, Harriet Stern, David Warschauer, Ronald Wilder. Kaddish is on 598. Again, we ask you to stand as you are able. Our custom, shoulder to shoulder, helping hold our friends up as they need to say a Kaddish this Shabbat. So we need to stand with them. 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael בעגלה ובזמן קריב ומהרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ומרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ומרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ומרו amen. May the source of peace and peace to all of you who mourn and hurt here and everywhere. We say together, amen. Let's be seated for our closing prayer. 643. 643. I think it's the second song that you'll see there. A text that's written from one of our Hasidic rabbis. And I don't know, it's been kind of bubbling up for me where he says all of the world is a narrow bridge and the most important thing is not to be afraid. And I think he almost had it right. I think it's okay to actually be afraid. This gesher, the bridge, it's tsar, it's narrow. And for me, there's no way that I would not be afraid of such a bridge, to walk across it. But you too. But we're going to do it anyway. And we're going to make our journeys meaningful. And we're going to do it with as much strength as we can muster. And we'll be that much stronger when we do it together. Kol haolam kulo gesher tsar meod gesher tsar meod gesher צר מאוד כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד גשר צר מאוד והעיקר והעיקר לפחד כלל והעיקר והעיקר לא לפחד כלל. This is the easy part. Yai 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 Yai, yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, kol haolam kulo, gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod, gesher tsar meod, kol haolam kulo. גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, והעיקר, והעיקר, לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל, והעיקר, והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. יאי 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 לי יאי 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 לי יאי לי יאי לה 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 יאי 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 לי יאי 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 לי יאי לי. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom, wish your neighbors a Shabbat Shalom, and make sure you'll tell Cantor Avery how much you missed her. Okay. Let's go. There should be some refreshments. If I'm not there first, you can make a motzi without me. It is permitted. And Alex might even do it. You think so?
I think so.
Right. Last.